Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Johnson. This is Olivier Vincent. I lead business development for Amazon Sumerian, and Olivier is one of our early partners. Olivier is the president of WeatherBug, if you're familiar with the highly popular mobile weather app. I'm going to talk for just a few minutes and give you a level set on Amazon Sumerian, and then I'm going to hand it over to Olivier, who's going to talk about some of the work that he's done and some of the justification and reasoning as to why he's invested in Amazon Sumerian. And then we'll take some questions at the end. So this is a 30-minute session. I think we're starting about 10 minutes late, but we will take some questions at the end. So if you have questions for me or for Olivier, please do raise your hand there at the end. How many people are familiar with Sumerian? Okay, so we've got just a few people in the room, so I'll make sure to give the level set. And how many have actually logged in and tried Sumerian and built something in Sumerian? All right, I wish I'd have brought some tchotchkes there. I do want to, and also before I forget, I do want to let you know we've got other Sumerian sessions. Leo down here in the front is on our engineering team, and he'll be leading sessions both tomorrow and Thursday at noon in the studio workshop area, which is down in the main exhibition area. So more of a hands-on session, walking through building some things. So that'll be a great session. And feel free to grab any of us either for questions during or after the session here. We'll stick around for a bit outside. After this, we'll head back to the exhibition area if you want to come and join us for a beer at the AWS booth at 701, and more of our team will be there as well. So a bit on maybe 2 minutes on Sumerian, then I'll hand to Olivier here. Take yourself back to the late 1990s and think about the tools that you were using to build the first websites that you built, or maybe you were even building websites before that. Think about what those tools were and what that experience was. I know for me, this was tools like Amazon Dreamweaver from Adobe. This was tools that were a bit expensive, a bit overpowered for what I needed to do. At that time, I was a product manager, just trying to build simple internal websites. On-premise software, more complex than I needed personally. Flash forward now to where we are with building websites and the tools that you use for that. Much simpler, pay-as-you-go, web-based, not on-premise, installed, licensed software, but instead web-based. Still the same power, but much easier to use. That process took 20 years. Now, think about a similar parallel process now that we're moving in. Call it the 3D web or immersive computing, augmented reality, virtual reality. And think about now the tools that we use for that. It's almost like we're back in the late 90s again with the 2D web. Many of these tools, they're great tools, but they're expensive, they're on-premise, they require a lot of skill. What we're trying to do with Amazon Sumerian is accelerate that 3D creation process, just like we did in the 2D web, now with the 3D web. So taking those on-premise installed, highly skills required tools, and shifting towards a web-based model that's very easy to use. So Sumerian, enter Sumerian. What Sumerian is, it's a web-based tool that you use only a browser to create AR and VR experiences and to be able to easily publish those experiences for consumption using only a browser. So in line with all the other things we're doing at AWS, using a browser to create and publish AR and VR. Two highly differentiated features that allows. One is that you build once and you publish across all these platforms, AR, VR, low-end VR, high-end VR. Or if somebody just has a 2D browser on a laptop or a desktop, they can use that to access a scene. So you build what we call a scene or an experience one time, as opposed to the current model. What most people are doing is they're building, for example, specifically for HTC Vive, specifically for Oculus Go, specifically for ARKit. So the idea with Sumerian is use the web-based model to build it once, allow anybody to access it. The second big differentiator is when you access it, it's purely just a URL. So you're not downloading a gigabyte file through a Play Store or through a whatever the various stores are for AR and VR. You're simply just accessing a URL. So it's very simple to distribute, very simple to access. You don't need to update through the stores. You just hit the URL. So there's a whole lot more to Sumerian than that. I'd love to talk with you more and show it to you down in our booth. But that's the quick high-level overview, just to give you the level set. And on that, I'll introduce you to Olivier, one of our first and early partners, not only with Sumerian, but across other AWS services. Made some great investments, building some really cool experiences that I hope resonate with you. And on that, over to you, Olivier.
Thank you. So I'll be pretty quick so we can talk about Sumerian and maybe get any questions you may have. Quick tour about WeatherBug. We have about 20 million unique visitors on our different platforms every month. We're top-rated weather app. We keep bragging about it, but it's very important for us. We live and die like any app with how good the reviews are, and when we are getting bad reviews, we don't sleep well at night. But as a result, we are regularly in the top 5 in the app stores. Actually, we were number 2 for a long time in the weather division on iOS in the last few days. It changes every day. And our vision is really to deliver the ultimate weather experience for all aspects of people's lives. So what platform? Well, we're really very multi-platform, mobile, web, watch. Actually, it's more than that. We have a number of other platforms in there where we are present. The fridge, the smart TVs. As I'm looking at it, I see a lot of Amazon in there. AWS, Kindle, Alexa, Fire TV. Where is Sumerian? Well, we're going to talk about it. So let me quickly show you the app. Just a quick little tour. Let's see if this works. And I'm just going to bring my screen up here. Here we go. So a little visit of the app. So let's go fetch a location in the US, maybe Redding, California. It's pretty hot over there right now, but a lot of fires. So you've got the usual content, your hourly forecast as well as your 10-day forecast, a lot of nice information, but a lot of maps. We really love these maps and the ability to see things going on, especially when storms get to you. It's quite nice to see. And then a lot of content, videos. Oh, look, this one is actually very original for us, air quality. And unfortunately, it's something very up to the moment here in Vancouver. As a Vancouverian, I got to apologize for that bad air quality out there, all these fires. But we launched a live map earlier this year, powered with a lot of AI to show you the evolution of air quality around where you are. It can be in large distances, like California or British Columbia, but it can also be an area of New York. You can see at the end of the day when traffic builds up around Times Square, New York, you will see air quality going back down over there, and maybe you should go a few blocks away to do your jogging. That's a map of California right now. And you can see there is a lot of red over there, the biggest fires in the history of California. But look at BC up here, right? Look at that. It was worth yesterday. The wind is dissipating a bit, but British Columbia is on fire right now. Anyway, that's not the purpose of this call, but I love this air quality map. We've got a pretty cool lightning map, which is live. So you will see with a delay of only a few seconds, you will see lightnings as they happen around the world. So you see these little white spots there. They were lightning that happened over there, in the last 5 seconds. And I sometimes spend 5 minutes looking at that, and they still pay me while I do it. It's awesome, but I find it pretty fascinating. So that is WeatherBug in a nutshell. In a nutshell, sorry. Let me get back to my presentation. So. What is it that we really like about augmented reality and virtual reality in a second stage? Weather is a lot about telling a story. We don't talk about the weather, we talk about how we feel about the weather. There's a lot of emotions involved all the time in weather. And weather apps have been, they've been, it's always important. Trillions of dollars of GDP are linked on the weather, so it's important. It's sometimes interesting, but it's rarely fun. And so we're really trying to find ways that are more engaging, more visceral, a better way to describe or to present a better experience around the weather. And yes, that's where AR and VR makes a difference. In our case, we're mostly focusing on AR right now because everybody's got these devices. About 500 million of them around the world are now AR empowered. And as Eric was saying, we got very excited early on by Sumerian. For a few reasons. Yes, easy development. We can prototype things pretty fast. We can actually launch things pretty fast. without having to spend a big team and several months of development. It's actually very powerful this way, but I would say more important for us, it's cloud-based. And so we can change things in an immediate cycle. So if something doesn't work or we want to improve on it, we make a change in the cloud, we press republish, and immediately our 20 million users have been updated with the experience. We don't have to wait for the cycle of reloading and people updating their apps. Especially on Android, people don't update very well. iOS, it's very good, but Android, it can take months before people, if not years in some cases, update their app. Here it's updated instantly. The other important thing for us is the size of the code, right? All the weight now is put into the cloud. So our app has about 100 megabytes, which is pretty big. It's a heavy app. There is a lot in there. But if we were to develop with Unity, it would be another 100 million megabytes to run it into the app. Here with Sumerian, it's a few lines of code, and all the heavy lifting is sent into the web and the cloud. And so, yeah, we have several initiatives in test. How about I show you some of them? Oh, yeah, I wanted to show you that.
And we're all doing okay.
Sometimes
wow,
weather is fun.
750 degrees in Gila Bend right now. And 1,270 in Ahwatukee. Now
that's Fahrenheit.
I'm not authorized to evacuate Ahwatukee, but this temperature seems pretty high.
Cade Creek is really
Yeah,
good.
Cade Creek, Fountain Hills, they don't look good either. And frankly, Wickenburg is a total loss. You might as well just get out of anywhere along this 60 here. It's very warm. Surprise is starting to heat up as well at 1,300 degrees. So again, the safe spots seem to be Chandler and Mesa. Scottsdale is doing okay so far.
So anyway, I got to give a lot of
you
credit for the guy to improvise on the situation. Clearly a bug on his side, but as I said, it's not always easy to have it that engaging and fun. I like this one. It's more recent.
We had a big contrast in temperature across the UK, just 12 degrees over coastal parts of eastern England with cloudy skies, but in the sunshine in northwest Wales at RAF Mona, just up the road from Llanfair Pwllgwyn, Gellgo Quindrobwll, Llantysilio Gogogoch, the temperature got to 21 Celsius, that's 70 in Fahrenheit.
All right. So in that case, I think the guy did practice. But let me show you now some of the work we're doing with Sumerian. And so the first one we're launching, actually, the app will be in the App Store by the end of the update by the end of the week with the first introduction of the player. But it's our air quality augmented reality experience. So this one is Wenatchee Valley. There is a big fire over there in California. It's actually pretty dramatic, but the air quality is very poor right now. And as you can see at the bottom, you know, the PM 2.5 is very unhealthy. These are these tiny, tiny particles. The other one, you hate the smaller ones because they get inside your homes. They get through the AC filters. They're pretty bad. But so yes, here we go. You can have a way for people that don't necessarily read these color charts very well to play around and be able to show their friends the air is not good right now in Wenatchee. Another example I like is the pollen. I'm myself very sensitive to pollen. And you can see how quickly we still have that little intermediary screen to promote AWS, but it's also it's another very visual way to see that. In that case, this one I pulled it out of Newark. It's real data right now. 6.4 out of 12. You know, it's medium, but for me that would be pretty bad. So I can look around and I can see that there is a lot of pollen. I would better pull my little medicine out of it. A bit more work we're working on. So this one is not launching right away, but let's see. It's a prototype. I'm hoping we launch before the end of the fall. I hope I can get a surface because it's pretty dark. But this one is actually showing you your week in advance in augmented reality. So it's a little dark here. Let's see if it gets it. It's probably too dark. I should have tested it with the lights off. Let me try it again. It's another way to present the experience in augmented reality. Oh, that should work here. Let's see how this goes. I gotta let it capture a little surface. And it is, here we go. So it's actually floating in the air in front of me. I want to touch it here, but it's maybe the screen. Here we go. I have it now. There we go. So you can see a simple representation of, your week. It's going to be pretty sunny. There are a few clouds, but you're in the, of course, that's for Canada. You're in Celsius, the civilized way to measure temperature. And, but you can see it going around. We have a little Easter egg here with the little ladybug here flying around. So this was actually designed on Amazon Sumerian in about a day for one person. So you can see how powerful the platform is. It's very stable, right? It really captures the anchor. Well, the only thing we get from the iOS environment is the ARKit anchor. All the rest is running in the cloud. So voila, that's about what I wanted to show on Sumerian. Very open for question, Eric.
Yeah, turn this one back on. Maybe what I'll do is go around and hand the mic if people have questions. Although, if not, I have a question or two I can maybe stump Olivier with up here. Do we have any questions out in the audience? There we go.
Are you using data that's aggregated by WeatherBug to then port into Sumerian, or how is where are you getting the
Yeah, it's a good
data
question. It's all
from?
WeatherBug data. So we've got an API that is exposed to any developer, and so it's entirely feeding through an API. It's a JavaScript environment, pretty common language. I'm dreaming of a world where there is no other language but JavaScript. Not going to happen anytime soon, but anyway, it's very universal, and so it's feeding directly from our API. So every data I showed you is live and updated. I was actually concerned because the fire from earlier in California is the winds are pushing it out, and so the air quality got better and better in the last 2 hours, but it was still unhealthy. Not to make fun of what is indeed a dramatic situation over there, but it's real live data we're pulling out of WeatherBug.
Other questions? Or maybe I'll throw one out. Thanks for the question. Here you go.
So I wonder, for the basic AR toys, do you use the AR Kit for iOS and AR Core for Android maybe?
Yes, absolutely. What Sumerian cannot do, because it's browser-based, it's cloud-based, is you need to capture the anchor, the real-world information. And so this has to come from the app. So in this case, I'm running it on an iPhone 10, and it's ARKit. And AR Core for Android, yes. And the platform works very well for both now. I know the first 2 weeks there was only ARKit, but now AR Core is running as well. And it's very stable too.
That's a great question. And as I sat down, I realized I should highlight that. So at the front end, I talked about how Amazon Sumerian is completely web-based. But in fact, in this case, it's embedded in the app. And so that's a reality today right now, because Android and Apple only release the sensor data for AR to the apps that are built for ARKit and AR Core today. We anticipate that changing. We're on standards bodies with Google, certainly with Google, as they shift to more web-based AR. And then that'll support the full web-based AR. If people want to go that way, in some cases, many people have built apps and they like being able to integrate the AR experience into the app as well. So it'll be both opportunities there. Did we answer your question?
I wonder, is it a problem because you cannot grab the raw data from sensor directly, so you use the AR Core and AR Kit. So the reason is that we can't grab the raw sensor data, like the camera or something, directly. So.
I can answer that question. So ARKit and AR Core, they're doing a lot of. Sorry. So ARKit and AR Core are doing a lot of computer vision for you to find the ground planes, put in your anchors in the world, and that comes through the AR Core and ARKit SDKs. So we do lean on that to do on the hardware, for the hardware to do that resolution for us. And then what we do is we render our virtual geometry on a transparent background on top of those anchors, using the camera placement data coming from ARKit and AR Core. So it's the way that we marry and get the data that you're talking about from the hardware to our scene.
But maybe the next step, you will split this AR Core and AR Kit to kind of use the raw data directly to build the web-based toys.
Yes, so the idea is the new standard that's in proposal, I believe right now, is WebXR, which is how to get access to the data that you're talking about through a non-app, through a non-SDK way, through WebXR. And that's in the W3C, that's in the proposal stage now. It's a good question, thanks.
It is, and we're very attached to the frame rate here. I've got hundreds of particles, and I wanted to be able to follow my movement. Only ARKit can give that to us, or AR Core.
So I think we're wrapping up our time slot here. One other piece I wanted to highlight. If you're not aware of it, we've got a feature in Sumerian called the Sumerian host feature. Is anybody familiar with that besides my star pupils in here? Okay, so what we've done with Sumerian, we've integrated with other services inside of AWS. So a few examples are IoT. So you can think of a lot of great examples of augmented reality plus IoT, like in a factory environment. Another great example is AI with artificial intelligence. And so with Sumerian, what we've done is we've actually created digital characters or avatars that you can power using the similar technology that powers Alexa. And the initial idea for that would be this is how you interact inside of VR as it becomes more difficult to use a keyboard and a mouse. But since then, it's expanded, and we've thought of a lot of other great use cases. So the short of it is you have these digital characters that you can select. You basically feed text or have an interactive conversation with them, these avatars, either in AR and VR, or what a lot of people are doing is also using those in 2D environments, such as digital signage. Are you willing to talk a bit about your thoughts around how you were looking at using hosts and what you're thinking about doing in the future?
Yeah, host is a very interesting component for us. We have these weather women and weather men out there that are so much in the psyche of our whole world, but it's difficult for them to cover the whole planet. And so in our case, we have about 100,000 weather reports generated every 3 hours, updated every 3 hours every day. And so there is no way to have humans do these weather reports. So we've designed a couple very nice early prototypes that we are, again, hoping we will launch before the end of the year with the Sumerian host. And at this stage, you can have suddenly you can have 100,000 humans working for you, presenting that content, again, in a very engaging way.
So Leo will be talking about hosts tomorrow, by the way, at noon, down in the workshop area.
All right.
Other questions? Going once?
I think we're out of time.
All right. Well, we'll get you back on time here in the room. And thanks so much, everybody, for making the trek over here. And looking forward to answering any questions you might have to afterwards, or joining us down in the booth down in 701 in the exhibition hall, or elsewhere.
Thank
you so much. And thank you.
Did I hear you talk about a beer?
Oh, there's a beer down in 701. That's right. We've got a beer garden set up in the exhibition hall, so feel free to join us there.
All right.
Thank you so much, Olivier.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, everybody.
Mm-hmm.